All right, well, thanks for stopping by the Daily Facts. And today we're going to talk about child marriages right here in the United States of America. Okay, so there's quite a bit of information out there on child marriages in the United States. I mean, you're looking at various articles and news clips. Uh, Here, learn more child marriage in the US. Learn more about the loopholes which allow marriage under the age of 18 in the US states. Campaign to end child marriage in the US runs into some surprising opposition. Child marriage is legal in the US. Here's how you can help end it. Child marriage is extremely prevalent in the US. The cycle perpetuates across generations. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, child marriage doesn't happen in the United States. No, that's only in far off distant lands, other continents, other countries. We're talking about Africa or India or Iran, Iraq, Pakistan. We're never going to associate child marriage here in the United States. Well, hold on to your hat because, as you can see in the news article, we definitely do have that here in the US. So let's get into it. All right. So, which states allow child marriage in the USA? Child marriage is currently legal in 46 states. Only Delaware, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania have set the minimum age at 18 and eliminated all exceptions. And 20 US states do not require any minimum age for marriage with parental or judicial waiver. That's from equalitynow.org. So we're talking 46 states that allow underage marriages. Now, some might say, well, that's probably, it's an underage boy marrying an underage girl. Okay. But you'll see when we get into it later on that that just simply is not the case. It just is not the case. So, again, 46 states allow for marriage under the age of 18. Delaware, New Jersey, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania have set the minimum age at 18, and they have eliminated all exceptions. And 20 US states do not require any minimum age for marriage with parental or judicial waiver. That's right. Let's read that again. 20 US states do not require any minimum age for marriage with parental or judicial waiver. That is shocking. Let's keep going. Okay, so we just talked about no minimum age in certain states, I believe 20. So can you marry at 12 in the US? With judicial or parental consent, children as young as 10, 11, and 12 have been married in the US in the last couple of decades. When exceptions are taken into consideration, 25 states actually do not have an absolute minimum marriageable age. This is from theconversation.com, and that was on December of 2017. So, children as young as 10, 11, and 12 have been married in the US. It's just unbelievable. All right, so child marriage in the US. This is a breakdown, a map of child marriage for 15 to 17-year-olds per thousand. Now, keep in mind, we just saw that you could marry at 10. But this is a Pew Research piece that was done in November of 2016. And again, it shows the number of 15 to 17-year-olds married per thousand. So this is per thousand. And as you can see, Texas has the highest. Washington 4.3, Pennsylvania 3.3, Kansas 3.4, Oklahoma 5.8, Arkansas 5.6. You get the idea. So let's read this footnote here. Marriage rates for 2014 are 5-year estimates that include data collected from 2010 to 2014. Respondents who are separated, divorced, or widowed are not counted as married, but are included in the total population of 15 to 17-year-olds. Okay, the source for this is the Pew Research Center analysis of American Community Survey data, 2014 5-year estimates. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so we're going to go through some of the article that was created by the Pew Research Center. And this, again, is from November of 2016. So, nearly every state technically prohibits people younger than 18 from marrying, but each of these jurisdictions has exceptions to these laws. In at least 36 states, for example, minors can marry with judicial consent. And in 34 states, 16 and 17-year-olds can marry with their parents' permission. Two states, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, allow 12 and 13-year-old girls, respectively, and 14-year-old boys to marry with parental and judicial permission. A handful of states allow minors to marry if one partner is pregnant or has recently given birth. For example, in Florida, a judge may issue licenses without an age minimum if one of the parties to the marriage is pregnant. Of the 57,800 Americans ages 15 to 17 who were married in 2014, an estimated 31,644 were girls and 26,156 were boys, with 55% being female and 45% being male. Texas has the highest child marriage rate for girls. 9 out of every 1,000 girls ages 15 to 17 in the state were married. Gender differences are even wider at older ages. Among married young adults ages 18 and 19, 66% were female. Among those married and ages 20 to 24, 62% were female. Okay, so it says more girls than boys are married at young ages, which we just covered. Okay, so we've talked about the fact that it's legal to marry a child as young as 10, and some of you might be saying, well, again, they're probably the same age. Maybe the boy's 17 and the girl's 16, or so on and so forth. But the state breakdown of the laws goes into details about some of these marriages, and we're not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to give you an idea. Okay. Since 2000, we're looking at Alabama. Since 2000, Alabama has the fourth highest number of total child marriages in the nation, with 8,600 marriages occurring in the state between 2000 and 2015, including the marriage of a 14-year-old girl to a 74-year-old man. Texas, let's look at that state. Texas passed a law in 2017 banning child marriage for children under 18. However, the law still provides an exception that allows emancipated minors to marry. Prior to 2017, 16 and 17-year-olds could marry with parental consent. A minor also had permission to petition the court for the right to get married. There has been no further legislation action in Texas. Okay, let's look at Utah. In Utah, children could previously marry as young as 16 with parental consent, and as young as 15 with both parental and judicial consent. While the law in Utah provided that children could not marry younger than 15, informal marriages within some religious cults frequently wed children much younger. For example, two Utah men married each other's 7 and 8-year-old daughters. The men were leaders of the Knights of Crystal Blade, a doomsday cult offshoot of Mormonism, and hid the two girls from law enforcement in water barrels after one of the ex-wives alerted authorities of a kidnapping. Okay, I don't think we need to go any further into that. Okay, let's look at Pennsylvania. Historically, Pennsylvania allowed marriage for children 16 and older with parental consent. Children 15 and younger could marry with judicial consent. If the court determined the marriage to be in the best interests of the child. However, in 2020, local lawmakers followed the example set by neighboring states, New Jersey and Delaware, and enacted legislation that closed these loopholes. A bill introduced to ban the practice of child marriage died following the 2018 legislation session. In June 2019, a new bill banning child marriage passed the State House unanimously and currently sits in the State Senate Judiciary Committee. In October 2019, the State Senate unanimously passed a similar bill banning marriage under 18 with no exceptions and sent the bill to the House. HB 360 was referred to the State Judiciary Committee on February 4, 2020, and SB 81 has not seen any further action since January 23, 2019. HB 360 successfully passed in the Senate and was signed by Governor Tom Wolf on May 8th, 2020. In Oklahoma law allows children 16 and older to marry with parental consent, and it provides for a pregnancy exception that permits pregnant children to marry under 16 with the consent of just one parent. So we get the idea here, and there are only 4 states that don't allow this. 4. And keep in mind, again, some states allow as young as 10, and some there is no age limit, which means it could be younger than 10. Okay, so we just went through the different states' laws, and it's troubling. And just an FYI, that information came from this organization, Child USA. And we're going to look at an overview of child marriage in the United States. And this is an excerpt from their report, which was published on May 8th, 2020, a national overview of child marriage data and law. Child marriage is a pervasive issue in the United States with devastating domestic consequences. Approximately 40 children are married each day in the United States. Child marriage advocacy group Unchained at Last estimates that 248,000 children were married in America between 2000 and 2010. And marriage license data shows that at least 3 states granted 12-year-olds marriage licenses, and at least 14 states granted 13-year-olds marriage licenses during that period. The problem is vast and mounting. US based evidence reflects the consequences of child marriage in America. Between 70 and 80% of marriages involving a child in the US end in divorce, and child marriage followed by divorce doubles the likelihood that child mothers will descend into poverty. Girls in the US who marry before the age of 19 are also 50% more likely to drop out of high school and 4 times less likely to graduate from college. From a health perspective, studies show that victims of child marriage in the US are acutely vulnerable to higher rates of psychiatric disorders, as well as physical, emotional, or verbal abuse. Like the global consequences of child marriage, the domestic consequences carry with them tremendous intergenerational and societal costs for America. It doesn't matter the age of the person that the other person is marrying. When you're marrying at this young age, in some instances tender age, it's not even possible to imagine that that person has the mind of an adult. It is a child. And although these numbers, we don't have a breakdown of how many adults, like for example, the piece we just saw about the 70-year-old man marrying that child, we don't know all of the breakdown. And I'm sure if we went out there and researched it, we could find that. But the bottom line in the goal of this piece is to just make people aware that child marriage is not just overseas in other countries, but it is prevalent. It is far more prevalent in other countries. And we're going to now take a look at that. Okay, so what country has the most child marriages? Niger. Niger has the highest overall prevalence of child marriage in the world. However, Bangladesh has the highest rate of marriage involving girls under age 15. South Asia is home to almost half, 42%, of all child brides worldwide. India alone accounts for 1/3 of the global total. That's from unicef.org. Okay, so there you have it. Child marriage is happening here in the United States. Over 200,000 child marriages have been reported in the last 10, 15 years. 200,000. I think we can do better. Once again, thank you for stopping by the Daily Facts. Please do like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.